What's up, everybody? It's your boy CB, aka the Rude Educator. We are here on WETF. It is time for the I Just Got Off Work show. Play my intro. All right. We are here on, what is the day? May 6th? Yes, 2022. It's Friday. We got a special guest in the house, of course. My wife, Nebutasha. How you doing this morning?
The whole name, all 9 letters. I'm great.
Yes, that's right. She has 9 letters in her name. I have 7. Her name has 4 syllables. Mine has 1. We've done the math on that several times, but it's all good because you know your name. Your name is your name. It's given to you before you even know what you're doing here. So you know you gotta roll with it.
It is what it is.
That's a discussion that came up. On social media last night, talking about names. Is there any substance to a name? What does it mean? And it's like it's up to your parents to name you. And some people said some people dropped the ball on that, and I don't agree with that necessarily. I think that you given the name that you given, and even though some names come with more prestige than others just off the name itself, I think it's still up to you to kind of make your name
What it is.
what it is, right? To say your name, because it's your name. How many people out there named Kimberly or Patrick or Charles, and they make something, they make it bigger than what it is, right? That's my opinion. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, it is 6:34 in the morning. We are here on WETF for the I Just Got Off Work show. Ironically, I did not work last night, but I did feel compelled to get on here and do this broadcast today because we finished Ozark yesterday. It took us a week. It took us about a week. 7 episodes for part 2 of the last season. All the way down to the season finale, and we're gonna get into that in a second. But before we do, I want to talk about a couple other things. First and foremost, I want to give congratulations again to Nebutasha for establishing her business. You want to tell us a little bit about your business, what's about, and everything like that?
Well, it's kicking up a little dust, not quite so much, but it's he put me on the spot.
I did.
It's
I did. I did it on purpose. You better when you on the fly. So I want to.
something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And when I say a long time, I only mean like the last couple of years, and that's it. But anyway,
So tell us. So what you said is Real Expressions Yarn, right?
right.
So what is Real Expressions Yarn? What is the business itself?
The business itself is me and my creativity, or me crocheting an item um, for someone. Um, that's that's the heart of the business. But the added plus to the business is my goal is to supply like a lot of crafters, not just people who crochet, but people who do tufting and other small crafts. Is to supply them with some of the things that it's either pricey to get or kind of hard to find, because crocheters, we don't only use yarn. So that's the little added extra that I want to give to real expressions. So
Okay, so you want to not just create things for people, but you also want to give other creators. You want to be able to provide them with supplies for their business. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, good enough. And do you have a website? How can people get with you? Email? What you got?
So right now at this time everything is in the making. You know that. But I did open up my Etsy shop, and you can find what I have posted already on Etsy, and is Real Expressions Yarns. Um, all one word. That's how they put it in. Um, and yeah, the things that I do have posted, you can find it there.
Okay. So it's on. You got an Etsy site. I'm gonna post the Etsy site in the description on this video, and so that people can come and click that link. Anything else you want to share about the business, or like you got any proclamations you want to make or anything like that?
Uh, like I said on the spot, not at this time, but I do want to say to anybody that is interested in crafting, um, once he do post that down in the comments, I am looking for any and everybody and any and all ideas to do any and everything, or to help or assist in whatever it is I can help or assist in.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I'm very supportive of anybody doing business, but when it's my wife, I'm gonna put that extra support out because that's just how I am. And again, uh, you know the WETF brand is all about bringing people together, bringing people, causing that synergy. So if maybe you do crafting, maybe you do something else, and you need some crafting supplies. Maybe you got a youth group or something like that. Hey, get with Nebu, Real Expressions, and she'll hook you up, right?
Sure thing. That's a great move. And yes, you are supportive, very supportive, and I appreciate that.
Oh, no doubt. It's my pleasure, to support you and everything, and in this life together, and definitely on the end of doing business. So, yeah, Real Expressions by Nate Boo. It is ready to go. If you on my Facebook page, you already seen the logo and everything. So yeah, I'm excited about what's coming up for that, because it's gonna be like we of course we're gonna have more exclusives, and I think the Real Expressions, not just the Etsy site but the social media stuff is gonna be up. So make sure y'all check that out. Um, I'm gonna start spotlighting different friends and families and their businesses on the show, just because I know how rough it is to when you starting off in the business, how rough it is to get it going. And I want to do whatever I can to help that out on through my profile, so my platform. So make sure y'all come back and check out more. Uh, so real briefly, there was a rumor going on social media last night about Kevin Samuels. I don't know if you heard about it. I think I told you about it. That's Kevin Samuels, and I don't mean to be smiling. I think the reason why I'm smiling right now is because the pandemonium around it is funny. The whole situation is funny. It is, and the reason why I say it's a rumor.
Cause he said a rumor. I'm like,
Yeah, because I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. That's the whole thing. I don't know. It's like Kevin Samuels is one of those people that he rates in certain circles, but other circles don't know anything about him. So like in the Black Twitter circle, he at the top, but Black Twitter is kind of like coded language almost. So while people talking about Kevin Samuels and him being dead on Black Twitter, everybody else is kind of like, who the hell is Kevin Samuels? You know what I'm saying? And if you don't know who Kevin Samuels is, he was basically a guy that came to prominence, giving advice to men and women. He coined terms like high value man and things of that nature. And his advice is a bit controversial. He spent a lot of time, or I should say, he spent time uh, basically demeaning. I can't say demeaning, but the way that he delivered his advice was not always in the most palatable way. Is that a good?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I bet you Kathy would have a way of putting it.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Kathy. Was she a Kevin Samuels supporter, or was she like fuck Kevin Samuels? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was definitely thumbs down for Kathy. Here's the thing. It's a lot of people, and this is just in general. This includes this platform, because you out here, everybody's trying to garner attention, and since people's attention spans are so short anyway, everybody got a chance, right? And if you don't gain attention of people in like that 30 seconds or whatever they give you, you'll end up just being part of the crowd like everybody else. So everybody's looking for a way to gain the attention of the masses. And my opinion, or my way of doing that, is just being me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I gain enough attention just doing that. And I don't know why people feel like they got to do extra stuff. Like, okay, I guess I'll talk about this story too. Did you hear about the story where the guy ran up on Dave Chappelle while he was performing?
Okay, so I heard that, but I fell asleep and I forgot to dig into the details about that. So enlighten me, my friend.
Okay, so Dave was performing at I think it was called the Hollywood Bowl.
I saw the dude's face though, but
in LA. Yeah, everybody's seen the picture of this guy. I can't remember. I think his name was Isaiah or something. He's a rapper. And, the funny thing is he made a song. They said he made a song in 2020 that he put up called Dave Chappelle. So, and he's a pretty young guy. I think he's only 23 years old, which is pretty young. So we don't know, why he ran up on the stage or anything. But what we do know is that once he did run up on stage, there were several people that came to Dave's defense, and the guy left on a stretcher. And if you haven't seen the memes, they got several memes of this guy, one of which is a recreation of the Ghetto Boys cover. You remember the Ghetto Boys album where they had Bushwick Bill on the cover in the hospital bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they redid it with this guy. And, I mean, you don't know. That's the reason why I brought this up is you don't know why people are doing the things that they're doing. It's so important these days for some people to gain clout, especially when it comes to social media and the whole thing. It's my thing is, as I always say, I've been on the internet since the beginning. And I've seen it go from something that just us nerds do to something that everybody does. And let me just tell you, it was much better when it was just us nerds. Because these days, y'all messing it up. They really messed up the internet.
Don't know how to act.
I mean, it's not just that. The internet used to be a place where you could go and discuss things in an environment where you knew that the other people that you were talking about were at least intelligent. You might not always agree, but you knew everybody that was having it. Well, I should say, at least have a chance for intelligence. Everybody wasn't, necessarily using their intelligence correctly.
Thank you for your correction.
But the dumb people would get casted out. You know what I'm saying? Now here it is in 2022, and it seems like the dumb people got the upper hand. It's amazing how many misinformed articles or things that are just outright lies go viral these days. And thank goodness for some of the legislature, some of the people that instituted some of these rules. See, we still behind because the problem is the people that create the environment, the people that create the technology are so far ahead of anybody that's attempting to regulate it. So I think that what the government needs to do, and this is this is just my opinion, of course, but what the government needs to do is get some of these younger people that are coming up in that world to apply proper regulation to that world so that what the product that comes out is something that's actually useful and not this I don't know. It is so much. When I scroll through some of my timelines,
But before you move on from that,
yeah,
but still, rules and regulations come behind actions, though, still. Sometimes rules are not made and things are not regulated until certain things happen. So, it's...
that's true. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that the regulations themselves, by the time they actually come out, are so far behind.
That is true.
So you have to not just regulate it, but you have to apply the regulation, or the regulation needs to be of such that it updates with the technology. We're about to, this metaverse thing, and I've talked about this before. The metaverse is just adding to the problem. And it's crazy how Facebook made the government feel like that they're going into this whole other thing. And it's like, no, they're about everything that's bad about what they're doing is about to get worse because of the metaverse. That's not saying it's not a useful tool. But what I'm saying is if you don't fix the foundation of what's wrong, it's just going to continue, and it's only going to get worse the deeper we get into this, technology. Like right now, metaverse looks all cute, and all the characters are cartoony. Everything looks fake. But what happens when the images and everything that you see in that virtual world start to look like what we see in our real life? Like 8K is a thing now. 8K resolution is a thing. So I don't think it takes that much to convert from the cartoony world and to making things look absolutely real. And then now we in a Matrix situation. And now, somebody got to be Neo and free us out of the machine because we all being used as batteries.
Well, it's on its way. So
yeah.
And
So, for all my conspiracy theorists out there that think that the world is a simulation, you're probably going to be right eventually. So, shout out to y'all.
in about how many years?
I don't know. I mean, before you would have thought that it would have took, when the Matrix first came out 23 years ago, you would have thought that it'd be like, 50 years, maybe 100 years. But technology has advanced so much, even just since then. Think about it. Since the Matrix first came out, now they did have the flat screen technology at that point, but it was brand new. And now, flat screen technology is everywhere. We got smartphones, which we didn't have at that time. And the new Matrix movie that came out. If you haven't seen that, what is it called? Is it Revelations?
You got me.
Um, Let me see. Wait, before it was Reloaded and then Resurrections. I think the new one is called shit. I can't. And you know what? I'm so mad at myself because I hate it when people get stuff wrong. So I'm gonna look that up in the meantime. Um, and then we're gonna get and then we've been on for about half an hour, so we're gonna get into the Ozark after I figure this out. But my point is is that we have technology right now that basically can make the Matrix a real thing. And since so many people uh, are basically just volunteering for it, and that's another thing. Like nobody had to coerce us into using it. We said, "Hey, you know what? That's dope. We gonna use that. We gonna just get on it." You know what I'm saying? Like I'm on this YouTube right now. YouTube is me being live on YouTube is basically what they talked about in 1984 as being Big Brother. And here I am, not just volunteering for it, but I'm promoting it. Like, hey, catch me on Big Brother Network. It's all good. Let me tell you what's going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, the values the things that we valued, our privacy and stuff, that's kind of out of the window these days. We still kind of have especially if you're of the older generation like we are, then you still kind of value your privacy. But the next generation, the generation that doesn't know a world without the internet, they are all about, whatever goes on, I need to share it with my people so they know what's going on with me for some reason. But you don't realize when you share that information on social media, you're not just sharing it with your friends, you're sharing it with the world. And I think that's what people got to realize before it's too late. I don't want to sound like doomsdaisy, but that's kind of the way it
No,
is.
I understand. But it is the difference between the ones who do know how to use the Dewey Decimal System versus the ones who don't.
Yeah, what was that? Oh, so it's a movie. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. It's called Alice, starring Mama. That's Keke Palmer and Common. And if you saw the movie, what was it? Damn it, what was the name of the movie? The one with I can't remember nobody's name this morning. The slave movie that we watched and it sucked. Started with an A. Annabelle.
Oh.
Yeah, with Janelle Monáe.
Oh.
Okay, so all right, if you didn't see Annabelle, let me save you the trouble. Annabelle was a modern day slave story about a group of people that maintained a plantation and kidnapped modern day black people to be slaves on this plantation. And it was all in the back of a Civil War reenactment camp, which, if you're reenacting the Civil War over and over every year, you probably do have some kind of, thing for that. But that's not my point. This new movie, Alice, which also starts with an A, by the way, which is, I don't know, it's real funny how similar the movies are. But the difference between Alice and Antebellum is Alice was a movie about, should I spoil it or should I just say the premise of it? Okay, so first of all, Alice is not Antebellum. All right, so if you've seen Antebellum, if you're just going off what I'm talking about, Alice is a much better movie. And the reason why it's a much better movie is they don't beat around the bush too much. They get straight to the point. And
I wouldn't spoil it. I would,
So let's just say I explained Antebellum because that movie sucked, but I want you to see Alice. So it's the same kind of theme. There is this theme of slaves, that shouldn't be slaves, but the way that they resolve the issue is much different. So I'll leave it at that. Common's in it. If you ain't seen the trailer tell you a lot about what it's about too. So check out the trailer. Check out the movie Alice, starring Mama. That's Keke Palmer and Common, and a couple other people show up. And I like the movie. I like the movie.
And you were going into that to say
I was going into that. Why was I going?
because I spoke on the Dewey Decimal System.
Right. Because in that movie, there's a scene where she really shouldn't know what the Dewey Decimal System is, but she does have a love of books. It's funny, but that's why I even went into that. That's funny how I go off on a tangent and forget why in the first place. So, hey, shout out to my guest today for keeping me on point. I got to figure out a way. What I got to figure out is a way to make my wife a permanent co-host, not just every once in a while. Because she's been on the show before. That was probably like the highest rated show I've had ever. And, so I'm always begging her to come back, begging her to be on the show and the whole nine. So shout out to her for being so charismatic and lovely and people wanting to come in and see her more than they want to come see me. And that's just a normal thing, even in my family. I go to the family function, and if I don't have my wife with me, they mad disappointed. And they basically, mad at me the whole time I'm there because I didn't bring my wife. So
Because I am going to say, and I will say this, I understand, because why wouldn't a dope ass family want a dope ass person to be a part of their and that's on both sides. Your family is dope on both sides, so it was not hard to get in that puzzle. But anyway, moving right along, there's Ozark.
all right, so to get to the point, it is 6:59. It's about to be 7 o'clock, so we can get into it now. This will be a spoiler review, and I wish I'm doing the show different. I'm doing WTF a little bit different than I started off doing before I had edited. And, right before I do the spoiler, it's like spoiler review and all that good stuff. But I'm not doing that. All right, we just off the cuff, but this is a spoiler review, so you just have to imagine the spoiler review going across the screen right now. Anyway, Ozark, season 4. Now, if you haven't seen season 4, part 1, even if you've seen no parts of season 4, you really need to turn this off right now.
Most definitely need to
because I'm about to spoil all of it. They start off season 1 because we're gonna go back to part 1 and talk about that a little bit before we get into part 2 and the finale. So part 1, they started off with them. They was leaving town, and big car crash happens, and then it cuts, and it goes 1 year previous or whatever. And things are not going the greatest for the Bird clan because, there was some controversy with Ruth, and she parted ways with them no longer managing the casino. She got hooked up with Darlene and her cousin Wyatt with Darlene's illegal activities, her poppy fields and heroin business and all that good stuff is still jumping. So Ruth decided, I'm going to get involved in that. And she went and used her skills that she learned from Marty to acquire a motel in town called the Lazy O. The Lazy O is one of those hotels that, everything is kind of run down, but it's a nice little spot. It may have an outdoor pool that they maintain pretty good, and you can have a good time. And that we've been to a few of those spots, right?
Maybe a couple.
And
maybe a couple. Yeah.
So she getting her business, and then Jonah, who is pretty fond uh, of Ruth, he goes and works for Ruth. And let me just remind everybody, if you don't remember, in season 3, Wendy's brother Ben shows up, and Ruth and Ben they get involved with each other or whatever. And by the end of the season, Ben is no longer with us. And so that's
And
some controversy too.
and not only that, Jonah, which is important to know, developed a relationship with Ben as well.
Right.
Being his uncle. And that kind of got a lot to do with why Jonah was where he was in this last season, why he was working with Ruth, the difference between his relationship with Ruth and why and what she had going on, the type of person she is, and his mother.
Yeah. Yeah, because we all know that Wendy Bird, for lack of a better term, she's a.
Bitch.
All right. Yeah, I wanted you to say it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to be what it said, but yeah. Wendy Bird is a bitch. And, she basically had her brother killed. That's a pretty rough, that's a pretty rough road right there. I can't imagine having a sibling killed. I don't care what kind of business that going on. So of course, she's got something. We don't hear about Marty's family at all. Did he even have a family?
That's crazy because I was thinking about that. Like, you don't hear. Maybe it was something in the first season or something that passed by. But anyway, and as many things that go on in this show, because you got like a couple of different things that's always going on in the show. Nothing ever happens with Marty's family popping up out of the blue. Anyway, no matter what happens.
Yeah, you would think that, he would get a phone call or something. They may have talked about it at some point, but I don't remember what they said about Marty's family. But Wendy's family, at least her father and her brother, are definitely a major part of these last couple of seasons of Ozark. And speaking of which, her dad does show up looking for Ben, and he's got this whole campaign going on where it's like find my son and all this kind of stuff. And Wendy is kind of like frozen by it because, of course, she knows where the son is, and she knows where her brother is. He's not 6 feet under because they burned him in the crematorium and made ashes, and the ashes are like, so Ben still kind of had a character this season because the ashes were a big part of the story, Also, new characters that showed up in this season. There's a detective. His last name started with an M, and it's kind of hard to say. Let's just call him Private Dick M. Okay, he shows up. He shows up looking for the lawyer Helen. Wasn't that name? Mm-hmm. For the cartel's lawyer Helen, who of course Navarro took out at the end of the season because of the birds. So the birds, especially Marty, have this way of convincing people that they're valuable. And they convinced Navarro that they were more valuable than his lawyer, which I don't even know how you pull that off, but they did. And unfortunately, Helen's ex-husband hired this Private Dick M to look for her. And so he shows up at the Ozark, started noticing all these things going on, and he's definitely his interests are piqued. At the same time, since Helen's not around anymore, and also because Navarro's caught up with all this other stuff that's going on, his nephew Javier shows up. He's now part of the, he's like a major part of the organization. So he shows up at the Ozark as kind of replacement for Helen. He even lives in her house for a little while. And he starts off right away messing stuff up. Like, what's the first thing he does? The sheriff shows up because of the tip for the private dick. And what does Javier do? He kills the damn sheriff. Now, you got to be a bold motherfucker to kill the sheriff on your first week in town. You know what I'm saying? You stand in a house that don't belong to you. Everybody, you know, and it was funny because they were cleaning up the mess, and the deputy shows up. It was like, yeah, what's going on? And they still didn't get caught. So, big mess, right? Meanwhile, Jonah's working at the hotel for Ruth. Ruth is, you know, getting that business popping with Wyatt and Darlene, and everything's going on. So that's kind of like everything that happened in part one, right? Oh, there was also the situation.
Well, it's different situations that's going on. It's just you got that one thing you spoke on. That's the being situation, and the private investigator moves kind of like in two parts of the story, but two parts, because you got the being situation. You got the private investigator where he started from versus where he ended, and how he got there was through Wendy's father. You got the Ruth and the Wyatt and the Darlene situation, and how they went about getting, you know, in the business together and doing their thing, and why that situation happened, because, you know, all of it is important, because of course you got the season finale. Then not only that, we cannot leave out the bitch's foundation that means the world to her. So the whole workings and how she handles the foundation that's more important than her whole family plays a part. And then you have the cartel, because the cartel situation went from just being a part of, like, a small part of the show to being its own thing. Like you said, it went from Navarro and then family members coming. You got Javi, and then you got who? You got Camilla showing up in the end, but that's another situation. So all of, you know, you got those important things that brought us to that second part of the show, you know, that foundation. And you have to talk about that, because that's one of the main, you know, things right there, that Wendy foundation, because, you know, that means the world.
Okay, so you talked about a lot already.
Yeah.
But did you even mention the FBI?
I'm just saying.
You didn't even mention the FBI.
And all of that.
So I'm just saying that there's a lot going on in this show. We started off when we first met the Birds in season 1. Marty just learned about he was doing some light money laundering, and then it turned into like big money laundering, because he's trying to talk his way out of something and talked his way into, like, every time Marty talk his way out of something,
it gets worse.
He talk himself into something worse, right? And so on part 1 of this last season, you know, they working with the FBI. His quote unquote homegirl that's worked for the FBI, they set up a deal where Navarro becomes a snitch on his own organization somehow. And that's valuable to them because they get these seasons of cash and drugs. Because it really just shows you how the whole system is just corrupt. Because the FBI is making these deals with these people they're supposed to be stopping. And you can't really, the only thing that they really are getting out of it is money. And then that just, I mean, hell, it go back to the CIA and the cocaine thing from Snowfall. Like,
but we're going to stay on Ozark.
Right. No, I'm just saying,
They're not
though.
go to Snowfall.
My point is that these government agencies be involved, and they don't really do anything to stop the actual crime. They're just getting involved because they want a piece of the action.
Right.
And so that's everybody's stance. It's like even when the FBI get involved, it was the one part where well, we'll get into that in a second. But when Ruth was talking to Rachel about getting involved with the FBI, it's like, do you even trust them? Like, no, I don't. Because they all corrupt. So all of that is wrapped up in this whole thing. And so what ends up happening in part one is that, Darlene, being Darlene, she kind of oversteps her bounds with her heroin business. The cartel don't want her doing heroin or selling heroin because that's their business. And, they were paying her because she had stake in the casino. They were still taking care of Darlene, but Darlene being Darlene, she was still kicking up trouble. And so Javier ends up killing her and Wyatt. And in the meantime, that all happened in part one. That's how it happened in part one. And then so Ruth finds out about it.
Ruth found them.
She found them dead. And so now she got revenge on her mind. And I think the last episode of part one is when she goes to the bird's house and is like, I'm about to kill this motherfucker. And they like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And so that happens. And you got, Wendy's dad in town looking for Ben and putting up flyers. And, even...
I mind you, everybody know Ben is dead.
Everybody
not only his wife.
Right.
I mean, not only his daughter, but her husband, Marty.
Right.
Both the kids and Ruth, they all know that Ben is dead.
Everybody that needs to know Ben is dead knows Ben is dead, except for the grandpa, So, all of that, when you put all that together, coming in and then seeing part two of the last season, it was like a roller coaster ride because I think it was the first episode is when Ruth catches up with Javier and kills him, right? Was
that the first episode?
It was the first or second episode?
That was the second episode, I think.
Okay. And then after that, so now Javier's dead, so nobody's really left to run the cartel. The FBI is like, damn, he's supposed to be a witness. What's up? And it's like, well, we'll find another one. And so they go back, instead of it being Javier, they go back to it being Navarro. And Navarro is like, well, Marty, I need you to run the cartel. Meanwhile, you got Javier's mom, Camilla, who is mad that her son is dead, obviously. At this point, they don't even really know that he's dead. They just know that he's missing. But she's doing stuff trying to figure out what's going on. What's her name? Is her name Claudia?
Is it Claire?
Claire from the pharmaceutical company is involved because she needs the heroin from the cartel to do what she does in her legitimate business. And now that Javier is dead, she got to find another way to do that. She approaches Ruth to sell her Darlene's old heroin because she know Darlene got access. So they about to make that deal. And that kind of puts the birds on the outs. And so they trying to figure out a way to get back in.
But the reason why she ended up going to Darlene once again, see, the birds got a bad habit of making somebody get into something that they did not want to get into in the beginning.
Right.
They throw these promises out here. If Marty throws promises, she throws threats. And they make them do something that they really didn't want to do in the beginning. And then they promise them a sweet ending. Okay? So that person, and I'm going to say that person because they've done it 1,000 times throughout the whole thing, from the beginning. But what happens is that person always get jilted by them.
Right.
So here it is. Once again, we're gonna talk about Wendy's Foundation. The way Claire comes into the situation is Claire is like he said, she got a pharmaceutical business, and one of the medications that they use is dependent on heroin. So of course she have to have a good resource or a good supply of heroin. She's not thinking about, the cartels. She's not really, she care about, Wendy's Foundation, not really. But her main thing is where can I get this heroin from to do what I need to do for my family now? Let's not forget, Claire is a stand-up chick herself. Not only that, it's a family business that she's protecting as well. So she wasn't a easy scare herself. So she agreed to, I guess, donate so much money to Wendy's fucking foundation or whatever. And with her donating so much money to Wendy's foundation, the dollar signs is what made all of the other government heads and all of the other big wallet people,
all the political types,
donate to Wendy's foundation. Because let's not forget, Wendy's end game is she want to be this big, I don't know, I'm going to say it, she want to be a Michelle Obama, whatever, political head with money.
Yeah.
So, she's creating this whole foundation. And this is how Claire gets into this whole situation. And once things go south, Claire tried to do what she needed to do with Wendy and Marty, but they fucked it up. Yeah. So at the end of it all, she just like, look, I'm done playing this game with you guys. I need to go find some heroin. And that's when Ruth came into play. That's how she, got acquainted with Ruth. That's how she got into the story. And taking it, like, it's this vehicle is moving. It is a lot of parts. It's a whole lot going on.
So what happens is that Ruth finds out that because Wyatt and Darlene were married and there are no other surviving family members, that she is by default the heir. Yeah, the sole heir to the Darlene, what is her name? Darlene Snell fortune, whatever it may consist of. She inherited the land, the money, all of it, and so now she's in charge. And that also came with a piece of the casino, and so she wants to get back in the casino business, and this is how she does it. And then they find out from Jonah that Wendy went to this guy named Charlie. And
you remember his name.
Of course. And so Ruth and her buddy Rachel go meet with Charlie, and Charlie can't wait to get revenge on Wendy, so he's all with it. And one of the things that's keeping Ruth from being, over the casino is the fact that she's got this criminal record. And so what Charlie does for her, he's like, well, I got a judge. Well, we can get that expunged. And so he sends her to the judge. She has, interest in meeting with the judge a couple of times, and the judge actually clears her record. So now Ruth, with a clear record, has her name on the casino. She's got a majority stake in the casino. She takes the casino over, and then at the same time tells Marty that he can't launder money there anymore. They got all the stuff going on with the cartel. They're trying to launder more money than ever before, and Ruth puts a hold on it. So I thought that was a very interesting part of the fact that, she went through everything she had to do to get ownership of the casino, just to shut down the main business that the casino was basically created for, while they got all this other stuff going on.
Because she's done with the birds. She realized they don't care, so I'm taking over. And they like me better in the casino anyway. I'm doing this. I'm taking this over.
And then meanwhile, everybody in the cartel is trying to figure out who killed Javier. And they do arrest one guy that robbed Darlene and Wyatt at some point, and that's why they arrested him for it. Cheryl came by and showed Ruth the guitar, and they put him in jail, and he's up for the murder, but Ruth knows that she's the one that did it, and so she kind of struggles with that. Meanwhile, the cartel is trying to find out who did it, and the birds ain't. Even though they know, they ain't saying nothing. Fast forward to the gala, the fundraising gala for the foundation. It's being held on the boat. They got everything set up. All these VIPs coming in to donate money to the foundation. What happens? Claire meets Camilla. And I thought your take on this was excellent. Why was Claire scared of Camilla?
For starters, let's hit let's hit it the way it need to be hit. We gonna talk about Wendy's fucking foundation.
I like the way you said that.
We gonna talk about Wendy's foundation because this whole event has everything to do with a foundation. And once again, she found out more money in the building than she thought it was. So the guy that she was running her little scam with was there, or trying to, get him the scam that she was pleading with because she needed a favor. Of course, he was there after she found out it was a lot of money in the building. And this is just me expressing how dirty she is and how she could be. She goes to this guy who was willing to put, all cards on the table and all the people, he know up for her. And she goes to him and say, hey, basically, I don't need you no more. Ha, 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 ha. And that's before everything started happening. So, like we mentioned earlier, you got Camilla, which is, she's a part of the cartel. But what we didn't mention is Camilla is older than Omar. That's his name, right?
Navarro.
Yeah. Is old. She's actually his big sister.
Mm-hmm.
So, the only reason he was running the cartel is because she was a woman, and we know how it go. But once we saw her stone face and her boss ass attitude, you would instantly know that she should have been the one running the cartel, because I would have kind of been scared of her too. But the way Wendy ran around with Claire, the way she ran around with Ruth, the way she ran around with any and everybody that had any type of connection or knew anything about the cartel, that was her threat card. So her threat card was, hey, you don't want to fuck with them because you gonna get killed. Hey, I think you better do this because you don't want to fuck with them because you're gonna get killed. Well, at that time, Claire, trying to run her pharmaceutical business, she was trying not to get dirty. They threatened the shit out of her and made her, flip hands that she didn't want to flip, do things that she didn't want to do, and she was fed up. She got to a point where she was not even taking Wendy's phone calls, which drove Wendy crazy and kind of pissed her off. Told her she was out of it, and what did they do? They threatened the shit out of her, because that's what they do. Who did they threaten her with? The cartel. And if you don't do this, they're going to come and they're going to kill you, and so on and so forth. Okay, well, I'm shit scared a little bit, because she wasn't easy to shake either. So this is before Javi got killed, because the way they threatened her was, they threatened her to make her, make everything seem okay with Javi, because they needed him sort of kind of out of the way, and they knew Ruth was, gunning for him. So what they did was they set up this meeting, and Javi was on the phone with her in order to get them there. Claire promised him some stake in the business. Javi calls his mom and talks to his mom, which is Camille, and say, is it Camille or Camilla? We'll say Camille. talked to Camilla, his mom, and said, "Hey, ma, this is the game plan. This is what's going on. I'm getting some steak and blah 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 blah." Okay, son. Blah 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 blah. Hasta mañana, mi amigo. I don't even know if that's right, but whatever. So Javi meets them in this building in the nighttime. Ruth shows up, and in the middle of this shit, Ruth pops him, and down goes Javi. So Ruth take care of this problem because she can't stop thinking about her cousin that she raised, Wyatt. It wasn't no second thought about popping him.
Right.
So we thought she was gonna shoot somebody else, but she didn't. So that's the background story to what's going on before this gala happened. This banquet happened, and
let's not forget that part of the threat, trying to get Ruth to continue to try to get Ruth to launder money through the casino, they sent the bodyguard after Ruth.
Right.
And Ruth dealt with the bodyguard.
Right.
Put him down.
Well, when you was talking about everybody that had the stake in the casino, I was thinking we left out when they brought in what's her name? Who used to run the restaurant, who came back.
Rachel, yeah.
Oh yeah, you did say Rachel. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so
her right hand man was Rachel.
Right. When Ruth when her back was against the wall and she was trying to get, really get it done, she went and got Rachel because for one, she knows Rachel. And then for two, she knows that Rachel would be loyal to her and not the Birds because the Birds fucked Rachel over as one of the first businesses that they took over when they came to the Ozark.
Right. And so when it came down to that laundering money situation, she was like, wait, you want to do this? Because they had shut everything down. But Ruth let her know, hey, the FBI is involved. So, hey, where can we go wrong? She was like, really? So they all went to a meeting together. Yeah. But we gets to this party. Now, back to what you asked me about Claire.
Yeah.
So, like I said, anybody who watch Ozark know how stone-faced Camille is. She's the real motherfucking cartel. I'm here to tell you.
Real
voice G. And all. Voice deeper than mine.
OGG.
OGG.
Triple OG.
So, and she's quiet with it, too. I mean, she got head nods that'll kill somebody, literally. So, she find out information. Actually, her and her brother goes back and forth. And because they are family, they give certain cues off to each other as to what really happened. And they reading each other and they read each other correctly. So in her heart, she know that her brother didn't do this. So her question is, what the fuck happened to my son? Somebody's not telling me something. She almost questioned them separately. The only person she didn't question separately was Wendy. Wendy was the only one she didn't kind of talk to. So she goes to this event and she have all three of them standing in front of her. She got Wendy, she got Marty, and she got Claire standing in front of her. And then she asks what happens to her son. So she asks Claire's story about how that the events unrolled for that night. And she say, okay, all right, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you a free pass. And that free pass is only for tonight. Whatever you tell me tonight, it will pass. You will keep your fucking life tonight. But if I find out anything different past tonight, anything different, she didn't say things won't end great. She didn't say it won't be looking good for you. She didn't even say I'm going to kill you. She said I'm going to slit your ass from your cunt to your throat. Yeah. And she said it with a clear face.
She was very graphic.
Hey. Claire looked at her and said, Ruth did it.
Yeah, basically. She said her whole name. She didn't just say Ruth. She said Ruth Langmore. It was Ruth Langmore.
She said Ruth Langmore did it, and the Birds is standing there looking at her. I'm talking about mouths open. They just like it was the biggest dum you would have ever witnessed before in your life.
So we're gonna so at that point, the birds basically know that Ruth is dead. She's standing right over there. Camilla, pointing her out to her bodyguard or whatever. And you damn near think that she's gonna take her out at the party, but she doesn't. And Ruth tells Rachel that she's gonna leave early, get on home, get some rest because it's been a long day. And the bodyguard lets Camilla know that she's leaving. And when Ruth pulls up to her crib, where she building this brand new in-ground swimming pool to overlook the lake, who pops up but Camilla? And it's funny because, Ruth is fed up at this point, I feel like. And she's telling Camilla, like, why she did it. She doesn't regret it, any of that. She got a straight face on it. And, she's just like...
The realest motherfucker on the show, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The realest.
And so Camilla's like, yeah, well, that's it for you. And Ruth's like, all right, yeah, whatever. And it is even like Camilla pointing the gun at her, and Ruth's like, you gonna do it or what?
Because Camilla is used to the
fear.
The fear.
Yeah.
She's used to people fearing her. Now, Ruth was sad because you don't know what's going through. She protected her family. Right. Now it's only one person left, and that's 3. Yeah. He's all alone. Her whole family is dead or whatever.
His whole family.
Whole family. Right. And, she's standing there and she looking at it, and Ruth being her, she like, are you going to fucking pull the trigger or no?
Yeah.
Like, we going to get this over with or not? So Camilla like, oh, okay.
Because I got a shotgun, too, I can go get,
You lucky.
Right.
So, but anyway, and that's how that ended. Which, that shit took the cake for me. I had no smiles about the season finale. And if anybody that's watching, I don't know who is, if you watch Ozark and if you called in right now, we'll probably be gone by the time it pops through. But if you call in right now and tell me how you felt about this season finale, I don't go on social media and see other people comments about things because I don't like my brain to be ruined with somebody else's thoughts. But I was disappointed because that accident that happened in the beginning of the first part actually happened at the end of the show. And when they had that accident, I thought that they were going to kill Wendy Bird that way. So I was really upset because I thought that she was dead. So she lived, and that made it a little bit better for me because it was already on some bullshit, the season finale. She lived, but just for me not to get a chance to see her harmed in any way really took a whole lot from me. That bitch should have been shot.
Yeah, so just a little bit. So we talked about how Ruth got killed. What we didn't talk about is how Omar got killed. Omar, they came to Omar and was like, because part of the deal, what happened with the meeting with the FBI is everybody came into the meeting and they talked about how the agreement would work with Ruth laundering the money through the casino and Camilla being, the mole in the cartel, but they didn't talk about how the deal was actually going to work. And so with Navarro being locked up and them not able to get him off the list and all of this kind of stuff, whatever they had going on with Navarro, they was just going to take him out. And they took him out. They had a guard come and say he was getting transferred. They put him in a transfer van. We took him out in the woods and basically just shot him. I mean, that's basically how it went, right?
Basically.
And so, fast forward back to the foundation gala. The birds come home. They all tired, because they know that Ruth is about to be either about to be gone or already gone. And they basically just came to terms with that. They sitting there, and then they notice that somebody done broke into their crib. And who is it but the private dick? Now keep in mind, and we didn't get into all of that because it's a whole lot to get into this season, but keep in mind, Wendy's dad sued them for custody of the kids so that they could come live with him. And he was using the evidence that the private dick got on everything they was doing. But in order to divert the private dick, what do? They use their political power to get him his cop job back in Chicago. And he does abandon Wendy's dad at the trial, but it doesn't matter because it wasn't a trial, at the hearing. Because it doesn't matter because the judge gave, basically made it up to the kids what they wanted to do. So the private dick shows up to the house. He's got the ashes that they've been keeping in this goat cookie jar all season. He's got the ashes, and he finally figures out that that's where Ben is. And so he threatens them and says, yeah, I'm going to use this evidence to get at y'all. And they like, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? We can work this out. What do you want? Blah, blah, blah. And right about that time, Jonah comes out with the shotgun. And they fade to black. And the shotgun goes off. We don't know who got killed. And that's how they ended it. They kind of did a Sopranos style. They kind of did it to where you don't know for sure what happened because they didn't show it. You can guess that Jonah killed the private dick. But I think maybe he killed Wendy. You know? You don't know. You don't know. And so that's how they decided to end it. And
terrible.
You didn't like it.
Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. You had this great story. You had these moving parts that coincide with each other. You had beautiful cliffhangers. You had all of that whole Game of Thrones type of feeling. Just for them to end this shit the way they ended Game of Thrones, I was like, you got to kill me. It wasn't how they ended Game of Thrones. The concept was the
Do you remember how they ended the Game of Thrones?
But we not going to go into the Game of Thrones. I know that I'm not the only one that was disappointed on how it ended. And I know I have not spoke with anybody, but I know I cannot be the only person that was disappointed on how Ozark ended.
I guarantee you're not.
Like I said, I need to phone a friend because I cannot be the only one. It was too good of a show for it to end like that. Well,
that's the way it ended, and it's over. So, overall, I think four seasons of shows, they did a good job of capturing people's attention and keeping it to the very end. What they did with that attention at the end, I mean, let me just say, a lot of people get disappointed with series finales because they never work out the way that you want them to. However, as keeping that in mind and separating my emotions from it, I think they did a great job in leaving it, the way that they did. They killed Ruth off. They killed Navarro off. You know what I'm saying? They left it kind of open in case they want to come back and do something else. Like, let's say they want to do an Ozark movie or something like that. They can still do that. But, it's kind of like a big disappointment to not have that closure.
I would not be getting up before the start of my shift to watch it. I will be watching that shit in my spare time.
All right. So overall, I think if you out of 5, if you want to give points, on a 5-point scale, I think overall what you get a series.
I'm gonna give it I'm. You know how I am. I didn't start watching TV until you came into my life so many years ago. You know what I'm saying? My TV used to be off. It didn't know what on was until you came around. I'm not an easy critic. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah.
You know, because don't nothing beat The Color Purple, and that's a 5. I'm gonna give it a 4.5, or I give it a 4.75.
All right. So we doing fractionals, but it's not quite a 5, but it's almost there. And hey, it's one of those series. I mean, I think it got a lot of comparisons to Breaking Bad because it was the unlikely, guy being a criminal, but they really got it in. They really went to all extents of it to the point where Marty was actually running the cartel at one point. So, I definitely give it high marks as well. I'm probably in that same 4.5 range for me. And, hey, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of an era. It's an end of an era. Last, we about to get on up out of here. It's 7:43. Nabu got to get to work. But it's the I just got off work show, not the we just got off work show. She got to get to work. But anyway, appreciate everybody tuning in. Coasting in to WETF, checking the show out. We're gonna be back probably in a couple of days to talk about the playoffs. If you're paying attention, Dylan Brooks got suspended a game for taking out GP2. GP2 is going to be out for about 8 weeks, so he may return for the finals if they are able to, but he if they make it that far. But as of now, he is pretty much out. Hey, I think that's it. Hey, I appreciate you being on the show this morning, baby. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna play my outro. Y'all hit me up on Instagram. Y'all hit me up on Twitter at The Rude Educator. And then also send me emails to my Gmail, therudeeducator@gmail.com. You can hit up Nabu on her Etsy page, which will be down in the description when this video gets posted. For real. And we out this thing. We're going to play the outro.
Or I can sing.
What you going to sing?
I don't know. Just play the outro.